Did you know that thousands of current Canada residents could be forced to leave by the end of this year? I'm not kidding, and I know it sounds unbelievable, but Canada's 2025 enforcement posture is tougher, faster, and much less forgiving than many people realize. Just imagine building your life in Canada for years, only to find out that one small mistake or an unnoticed rule change could suddenly tear it all down. In this video, I'm breaking down 7 real deportation risks that are catching people off guard, and in addition, I will include practical, step-by-step plan to protect your status so you are not affected. If you're living in Canada now or you're planning to, this might be the most important 20 minutes or so that you spend this year. Now, before we start, please note that this video is not for immigration purposes, so please contact an immigration lawyer for immigration advice. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the most common and the most dangerous risk: overstaying your status. In plain English, your legal right to be in Canada ends the day your permit or visa expires, unless you've properly applied for an extension or a change of status before it expired. Of course, overstaying didn't suddenly become illegal. It always was. But what has changed is enforcement. Canada is doing better at enforcement. If you let your study permit, your work permit, or your visitor status run out, even by just a little, you could get flagged. That can mean a removal order, travel complications, future refusals, or outright deportation for you. Some people wait too long to file an extension, thinking that there's a grace period. My dear, there isn't. To avoid this happening to you, please put every document expiry in your phone with multiple reminders. Start extensions months in advance. If a decision on your application is delayed, keep your proof of submission handy. If it's too late and you fell out of status, talk to a licensed professional immediately about restoration options. Do not ignore it and hope that the problem just disappears. It won't. The second risk is misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is not just forging a document. It's any false, incomplete, or misleading information in your immigration journey. It could be on a form, in a supporting letter, or even in what you don't disclose after something important changes in your life. Some misrepresentations are intentional, and if you are doing that, you deserve what you get. But for those that are accidental, like forgetting to disclose a visa refusal from another country, or rounding up your work experience to meet the time requirement, or even changing your job titles to make your profile stronger. Actually, that is not accidental. Some other things that IRCC considers as misrepresentation includes not updating IRCC when you get married, you get divorced, you have a child, or you change your address. Small things like that. Or even when you submit a letter from an employer that is not accurate or can't be verified. In 2025, the IRCC integrity systems are tighter. When something doesn't add up, they bring up red flags. Misrepresentation can definitely lead to refusal, cancellation of existing approvals, or even a ban. Please be immaculate with honesty. If you're not sure whether to include something, include it and then explain it. Keep a file with copies of every form, every letter, every receipt, and update that you've sent. If you discover a mistake after the fact, correct it proactively. Criminality is a big issue. A lot of newcomers think, well, I'm fine, I've never done anything serious. But immigration looks at patterns and public safety, not just the size of one offense. So, repeated minor offenses, things like shoplifting, repeated DUIs, harassment, fraud under a certain amount can trigger an immigration review, especially early in your time in Canada. Sometimes, even foreign convictions from years ago could be an issue. At number 4, let's talk about the student who takes an extra shift and works over 24 hours a week, or the visitor who helps out a family member for cash payment, or a worker on a close permit working on the side for another employer. In 2025, this is a high-risk move. Canada can cross-check payroll, tax data, and employer records. Working even a little bit outside your conditions for the wrong employer, over the allowed hours, or even working while your status is expired can be grounds for removal. Some other typical traps that people ignore include students assuming the old temporary unlimited hours flexibility still applies. No, it doesn't. Please read the latest conditions on your permits. Some students also continue to work before applying for PGWP after they finish study, or spouses of international students who are in between work permits but they continue to work because, well, they need to. It is important to know exactly what your permit allows so you don't make a mistake that could cost you a lot. Family sponsorship and spousal applications are under a microscope, a serious one. Canada is targeting marriages of convenience and sponsorships that don't match reality. So listen up. This is what gets people into trouble. Not actually living together or sharing a life, but saying that you do. In effect, lying that you do. IRCC also frowns on relationships that are on paper only. You have no joint finances, no shared lease, no visible daily life together. That is not even a common law relationship. Also, relationships that collapse immediately after landing in Canada with no evidence that it was ever genuine. So if you're in a real relationship that you started here in Canada with someone that is either a permanent resident or a citizen, make sure you document your real life. It's not very romantic, I know, but you got to do what you got to do. Keep copies of your leases, your bills, your joint accounts, photos with both families, travel together, messages that you send to each other over time. If circumstances change, so something like you both got separated, things like that, make sure you get legal advice and be transparent with IRCC. Genuineness and evidence protect you. Silence and trying to hide things hurt you. Now, just a quick reminder that you can jump on a call with me if you want us to speak. I will leave the link in the screen here, in the description, and also in the pinned comment, so you go check it out. Public health non-compliance could also be an issue. Now, to be clear, nobody is deported for being sick. The problem is non-compliance with public health directions when you have a contagious, high-risk illness. The plan is that public health and immigration are going to be talking to each other more seamlessly. If you are flagged as a risk and you are not cooperating with them, your status can be reviewed very fast. So if you have such a disease, keep all your medical appointments, follow the treatment, and keep all documentation. Things like your prescriptions, your lab results, and even the physician notes that you have. If you need time off work or school because of treatment, get letters that confirm that you're following your doctor's instructions. Compliance shows responsibility and it protects you. Number 7 is ignoring hearings or removal orders. This is a big risk. If IRCC or the border agency tells you to attend a hearing or an interview or ask you to provide documents or to leave Canada by a specific date and you don't, things could escalate. Ignoring notices also can lead to a warrant, a detention, or even forced removal from Canada. In the worst case scenario, people are so scared that they make silly mistakes like changing their addresses and never updating IRCC, or assuming that their lawyer is handling an issue when in actual fact they are not. Sometimes they miss a single deadline and then they get scared and they just go into hiding. Some even try to wait it out after a negative decision is made on them. Like how? Please open every email and letter from IRCC, no matter how scared you are. Check your online account weekly when your application is in process. If you get a negative decision, act immediately, reapply or apply for a judicial review where applicable, but do it on time and do it with proper grounds. If you're out of options, speak to a professional about voluntary departure and future eligibility, but don't just ignore the issue. Silence is the worst strategy here. To avoid issues with IRCC and in the worst case scenario, to avoid deportation, you need a protection plan. So let's make a simple plan that you can start using today. Number 1, calendar your status. Send reminders for every expiry, whether it's passport, visas, permits, everything, you to be caught off guard. Number 2, apply early. Submit your applications for extensions or changes on time. Number 3, tell IRCC when your life changes, whether it's marriage, divorce, new baby, new address, report it. Number 4, work only within your permit conditions. If in doubt, don't do it. Be sure before you accept a shift, a contract, or a new role. Number 5, stay out of legal trouble. If something happens, get both criminal and immigration advice before you make any move. Number 6, follow medical instructions. Keep records of treatments and show that you're cooperating in case of a serious illness. And number 7, open every message or email. Check IRCC emails. If you receive a refusal, get advice fast and act within the deadline. Canada is still welcoming newcomers, but in 2025, the margin for error is this thin. If you follow the rules, you stay proactive, and you document everything, you keep control of your future in Canada. If you think that IRCC is too lenient and that you can fool them, you might get into trouble. So be wise. If you found this helpful, please like it so more people see it, and subscribe too. And go ahead and drop your questions in the comments. Tell me what topics you want and I'll cover it in a future video. Stay sharp, stay compliant, and keep your Canadian story on track. Bye for now.